Hey everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be showing you the first step of my customizing process, which is the preparation. I will be working with this Phase 1 clone trooper from Hasbro's The Black Series line, and I'm pretty happy overall with these new clone figures, but they're definitely in need of a good paint job. And so you will need some masking tape. The one I'll be using is this 6mm Tamiya tape, and you'll also need a hairdryer to heat up the plastic and disassemble the figure. So let's get to it. So here I'm just heating up the entire figure to begin with, making it nice and warm, and then we're going to go in with a hairdryer and heat up each individual piece to disassemble it. So now I'm just going to go ahead and pop this hand out, and then we're going to use the scalpel blade to detach the elbow from where it meets at the bicep. This means that the elbow will have a full range of movement and it won't be stuck in one position. Always remember when you're using a blade that the blade is very sharp and you can easily cut your fingers. I've cut my fingertips so many times doing this, but just be careful, make the cut there, and now it can move. And I'll just turn the figure around to the other side so you can see the difference. See here, it just doesn't even move, and on the other side it moves freely. Looks way better when you're posing. So now let's heat up this bicep and pop the entire arm off and get the elbow out as well. We're essentially trying to just get the undersuit to a point where we can mask it off and then spray paint the figure. So we're going to pop all the parts out and pop it all back together. And also, credit where it's due, Hasbro did a really good job at engineering this new clone body. The way that the bicep swivel connects to the forearm is pretty clever. So we're basically just trying to expose this black undersuit so that we can use masking tape to cover it up. I'm now going to repeat this process of popping each part out and getting those elbows and knee pads removed. And here's what it looks like with both of the elbow pads removed. I also went ahead and popped the head out. With the head, it's a different type of plastic, it's much harder, and so you're going to need to use a lot more heat from the hairdryer to remove it, but it's pretty simple. So now let's get them knee pads off. What I love about these new clone bodies is that the knees aren't attached to the thighs anymore, which means that it has full range of movement without having to do any customizing, so that's a nice quality of life improvement. With the thighs being a much thicker plastic than the arms, you're going to have to use a lot more heat from the hairdryer to be able to pop the shins off. But it's just the same process basically. We're going to pop it out, get the knee pads off, and then pop it all back together. As you can see, I'm struggling here a little bit to pop it back together. So if you are struggling, just use more heat to open up that plastic, and then it will all go back together nice and easy. And here we go. That's all of the disassembling that's required. You just need to remove those elbow pads and knee pads so that we can see this black undersuit. And I know some customizers like to just fully disassemble the whole figure and paint each part individually as they go, but for me, I prefer to have the whole thing as one piece. Now let's crack open this new masking tape, and we're going to start masking off this undersuit. This Tamiya 6mm tape really is ideal for this, because the size of the tape fits in with the joints pretty perfectly. So we're just going to rip off little pieces of tape, and then cover up each part of the black undersuit. The reason I'm doing this is because later on we're going to spray paint the entire figure with a white primer. And so you don't want the white primer hitting the black undersuit because that could cause paint rubbing over time and then you'll see the white. This part of the process can be quite tricky for a beginner that hasn't done it before. For me, I've been customizing figures for about 4 years now, and so I've done this so many times for every clone trooper that I've made. Just take your time, cut small pieces off and place them carefully. So I'm going to go ahead now and repeat this process for the entire figure and then show the end result. And so once you've masked off the entire undersuit, it should look something like this. Then lastly, we're just going to go ahead and pop the neck off. And now rip off a little bit of masking tape to cover up that ball joint, because you don't want primer hitting the ball joint and then making the joint very stiff. And so there you go, it's all done. Next I'll be using this old paintbrush that I use to put all of my elbows and knee pads on when I'm spray painting. Also use a little bit of blue tack, in this case I'm using white tack. It's the exact same thing but just a different colour. And this helps to keep the elbows and knee pads secure. And we're going to use this as the holder for spray painting. And there you go, the elbows and knees are also ready for priming. So let's put this in a pose that makes it best to spray paint with, and take them both outside to spray. The spray primer I use is by Timecodes. It's their white primer, and this is actually intended for use on automobiles, so it is super strong and it has great coverage. Follow the directions on the can, so give it a really good shake for at least 2 minutes, and it's important to do this because if you don't shake it enough, you're not going to mix up the paint. Now use a mask, safety first, you don't want any of those particles going into your lungs. I'm just going to make very light passes over the figure. You don't want to spray it on too thick, so we're going to have to do it in multiple layers. For me it often takes about 3 layers to make it look good. And I'd wait in between each layer for at least 2 hours for it to be dry to touch. And so it's going to take about 6 hours in total to prime this figure. And there you go. Now I'm just going to do the elbows and knees the exact same. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is that you also need to mask off the hands, so it's just the same process of covering up the black pieces and leaving the white pieces exposed. And so here is my fully primed figure after 3 layers of spray paint. If you did enjoy this video and you found it informative, then please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, as there's going to be plenty more customizing tutorials, and I also plan to show off how I do my photography as well, because I do a lot of photos with these figures to showcase them. Of course, the next step will be painting the figure, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.